What's the eternal principle?
But one.
Which is?
Well, we call it God, but that personifies it.
What's up, people? Episode 101. Getting right into it. The recorded on YouTube, and I spoke at Recovery Church last week, and the podcast streams doubled. So thank you for being so supportive of the YouTube, and super stoked on that. So it's all fun and games. So I was trying to think of a way to start this out, and anytime I try to format some type of episode, it always gets mad choppy. So I usually just shoot from the hip, but it always gives me anxiety before I start. But I was just talking to the homie Andrew behind the cameras, and we started talking about French toast on a Sunday morning. You know what I mean? Mega butter, clean white unhealthy bread, cinnamon, and pure maple syrup. I don't want none of that bullshit. I want from fucking Vermont right to the plate. And so I used to live in Pompano Beach, right? And I used to live right on this 14th Street causeway, and right over the bridge was Whole Foods. Now, at this particular Whole Foods, they had on the hot bar, they would have they would have breakfast food on the hot bar. And so once I found this out, because I didn't know they did breakfast food, I just thought it was lunch. I stumbled over there to get a coffee one morning. Next thing you know, I see challah bread French toast, all right? So needless to say, I'm hitting that bitch every morning before I go to work. And when I say every morning, I mean every fucking morning, all right? So I'd get a to-go thing if I was running late. And this was when I was in sales. And so I would come back to the office, I would get set up, throw the butter on there, fucking extra syrup, I'm ready just to start the day. I got my coffee. And shout out my buddy Jacob, who used to work right next to me, best fucking dude. And so he would start making fun of me because I'd have this French toast in there every fucking day. And it was almost a little embarrassing because you had this, I don't know, it's kind of like a young meal to have every day, you know what I mean? It's you're starting your day off just smack in the face with sugar and butter and bread. You're not really getting protein or any good shit like that. So anyways, I'm sitting there and I'm eating it, and he took a fucking picture of me. He's like, yo, look at me. And I got a mouthful of French toast, and he goes, yo, look at me. And he took a picture, and he turned around and showed it to me. And I'm just sitting I'm smirking and smiling while I'm eating this French toast. And he goes, no woman will ever make you that happy. I fucking die when I think about that shit, man. He was dying. He goes, no woman will ever make you that happy. And to be honest with you, I haven't really experienced anything different up until this point. But, maybe she's out there. So anyways, I guess that's how we're fucking starting the episode. Yeah, man. So, this past week has been great, man. Just been, heavy in repurposing content for FTG and going hard on the old TikTok and the Instagram and all that shit. But it's been fun, and the response has been overwhelming. And then on top of that, we got the first ever Delray Beach wellness event coming up on February 10th, which is Friday night, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Pineapple Grove Art District. So I'm going to be set up there. Recovery Through Repetition is going to be there. They're going to be running a workout. Robin's going to be running yoga. There's going to be activities for kids, vendors, food, exercises. So it should be a good time, man. They're getting a lot of solid people out there. So I've been working my little ass off, making a ton of gear and getting prepped for that to have a good time. So February 10th, Friday night, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., the Delray Art District. So should be a good time. Hope you're there. let's see what else we got. So I've been reading Joseph Campbell a lot lately, which I'm always talking about him. It's one book he has called The Power of Myth, which is just an interview that he had with Bill Moyers years ago in like the 1980s. And it was like 48 hours of interview footage, and then they took that transcript, put it into a book in dialogue form, and that book is called The Power of Myth, in which Joseph Campbell starts to talk about the rapture of myth, which is basically just a story that enlivens the human spirit, right? So he'll say things like, in all the world's religions and the story of Christ and the parables taught and like Noah's Ark, right? He almost says like whether Noah's Ark happened or not doesn't matter. It's the story that holds the meaning that you either accept, lean into, take its hint and learn from it in your life, or cast it aside. So, I mean, I know that can sound disrespectful to certain religions, and that's not where I'm going at all. But stories have such a profound impact. I mean, that's all we're really fucking doing is just getting up here and telling our story about how God or spirit or universe has moved in our life in a dramatic way. And as a result of that dramatic approach, our whole fucking life has changed. And it may start with pain, it may end with joy, it may be in the middle of pain, whatever it is, but there's a story being told. And I've gotten to a place in my life where I kind of just say fuck it and let the story unfold, and like I'm no longer and I don't want to say that completely, but I'm no longer really interested in how the story is going to turn out. Like, I don't really have skin in the game in a sense. Like, you kind of just like, do you ever get the feeling where you're just like, how did I end up here? You kind of just sit down, look around. Like, I'm sitting down right now looking at fucking 2 different cameras, about 7 aggressive lights, and a dude running the keys behind the scene. And I'm sitting in front of a fucking microphone talking about God knows what. I got no idea how I got here. And I'm really not fucking interested in how or why. But I guess like my only duty is to keep following how this happened and just to continue to say yes to whatever comes up. I think I talked about this last week, but I just finished up the Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And he starts having this fucking experience, man, where he's talking about, this is a guy who's a hippie, thought he had to go into the woods and meditate and fast, and just, he was trying to transcend to like the deepest part of himself. And he got there to a degree, but he wanted the answer to be there in the woods. He wanted the answer to be there in the woods while he was barefoot with his ponytail. He was fucking eating a dinner salad every other day because food got in the way of the deepness of his meditation. I mean, this guy was like abandoned his life to this practice of seeking. And life or God had other plans. So he started to get pulled out of that and given opportunities to go teach a class at college and go do all this stuff. At any rate, he started to see how, like, when things came up in his life, he would start to watch this mind that he called the preferencing mind, which is, I prefer this and I don't prefer that. I want this, I don't want that. This is good, this is bad. This is threatening me, this is okay with me. And he started to, like, through his meditation practice, see the dialogue of this in a very clear way. And he started to have subtle experiences of how when he didn't listen to that, life just fucking threw out some cards that he didn't even realize was in the deck. almost like they put a joker down in fucking poker and didn't even realize you could play that card, but life played it. So he made an agreement with himself that he was going to start this thing called the surrender experiment. So which anytime life darkened his doorstep and offered a new arena perhaps to step into, he would allow the mind to talk shit, basically, allow it to scream its preferences and take action in opposition to his mind. So he would talk about these circumstances, one of which they wanted him to go teach because he had his doctorate in economics. And they wanted him to go be a professor at this college. And he's like, the last fucking thing I want to do is go teach economics at a college. I want to go meditate in the woods and eat leaves and berries, right? So this guy, his mentor throughout his whole doctorate, this established professor, basically, like, he loved and respected him, so he entertained the decision. And he was asked to do that. And he's like, I started to watch my mind like freak out and no, I don't want to do this. And he goes softly out of my lips, said, okay, I'll do that. And so then he went in to go teach, right? And he met with the superintendent. They were just opening up this college. And they were like, well, what do you want to teach? And he thought he was going there to teach a certain subject. And so he's like, I listened to my heart. I got honest. He's like, well, what I really want to talk about is this place within you where you're seated in this greater self, watching the mind talk shit. And he goes, I've had all these experiences, and started to talk about his years with meditation and just the things he had gone through in his spiritual approach. And they were like, oh, okay, well, the only class that's available where you could teach that was like social economics or some shit like that. So they gave him the class and he became the professor. And he got up there with no plan at all, no curriculum, walked into class and just started talking about what was on his heart and what he came to experience. Needless to say, he started to get students in there who weren't even in his class, and it was becoming over full. Next thing you know, he started this meditation. So all these things, right? But he would have never thought that he could go in there and construct his own class. That'd be like me asking to go teach a class at college and being like, yeah, I'd rather just fucking really have like talk about a podcast. They'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. Here, we'll pay you whatever you want. So it's like little doors like this open when we allow life to take care of us. And I never realized that that was the deal, but life, she wants to take care of me. And the only thing that gets in the way for me is my preferencing mind. And so the book has had a really profound impact on me. And I just started working with this kid, mentoring this kid, and we're basically taking the approach of, well, we're going to do everything opposite of what you've been doing the past 3 years of your life, because we're stuck. So now we're going to challenge all these fucking belief systems, and you're going to be really uncomfortable, and we're going to see what comes up. Now, these are belief systems that I've suffered under the weight of in the past. So it's like you're just sitting there basically, and that's the beauty of this thing, is you're loving on your past self, right? So at any rate, I'm talking to this kid, and I'm challenging him in all these areas. And then the things that I put aside in my performance-based love have started to come up in my life. And I'm like, oh shit. And I said, well, maybe I have to surrender to this and step into this new belief system. I feel like I'm being super fucking ambiguous right now. But basically what I'm trying to say is I put a challenge out there to someone walking in the same path. I challenged him here, and then life goes, oh, okay, you want to challenge him there? Let's see what you got in this area. That sounds better. Yeah, that's what happened. So it's just interesting. Like all this stuff started to come up, and you know, for a long time, well, really in the past 7 years of my life, you know, I was sober early 20s, like 23 to 27 back in Syracuse, New York. And my life got really good. It was fucking amazing. Everything changed. But I went back out. I went back out, went on a 3-year run, and got spit back out. And I've been sober ever since for like the last 7 years. And so this time around, I've really been challenging my old belief systems, which were really rooted in like performance-based love, which I talk about this all the time, trying to be this perfect fucking guy. And if only I can be this perfect guy, then I will receive God's love and peace and all this shit, right? And so the greatest thing that's ever happened to me has been not giving a fuck and stopping trying to get myself well and resting, So anyways, my whole thing when I was in my early 20s, I was always trying to like make myself well. I'd try and read and study myself well and understand literature and, whatever spiritual text or the Bible or this or that. And I would just, if I could find that one fucking line, everything was going to change. And I didn't realize I was doing this, but what it did is it brought in the weight of all this knowledge while the emptiness of my experience was shoulder to shoulder with it. So I couldn't differentiate knowledge and experience. See, I would read something and then think I had the experience and walk around, but I was basically just a fucking parrot. I'm good at talking, all right? I'm real good at talking. And that shit brought me to my fucking knees. So I say that to say this, like this past 7 years, to oppose that old behavior and belief system, I'm like, I'm not studying shit. I give up. I'm not going to try and find anything or get myself well. I'm going to dial back and practice the experience of trying to live this thing out, right? And lo and behold, everything's fucking amazing in my life. Now I've just started to read a lot more. Every night I've been reading. I've gotten through 3 books already. And now these books, it's interesting, like rather than studying them, I'm just kind of reading them and there's like maybe like 3 things that I'll pull out from them. And they start to like stick with me. They've been like, they start to like stick with me and I don't realize that it's happening, And then as they stick with me, I'll go through experiences and then I'm like, oh yeah, because it's kind of stuck right there in the shoulder. And I'm like, oh, surrender experiment. Oh, like let the world be something you're aware of. It's just an opera, all this shit. So I guess what I'm saying is, God has kind of opened this door recently, 7 years later, where maybe I can start to study and read with honor and know that everything I read does not mean I fucking experienced it, and like keep myself in check, so to speak. And that's just a very dangerous road to be on, the match between knowledge and experience. And it was dangerous for me. But now I'm starting to realize, like, you need knowledge. Like, you need to be taught things in order to open up and perhaps move a different way, because otherwise you just don't fucking know. And you're stuck there. Like, and again, when I learned Vedic meditation 3 years ago, I had told my teacher, I'm like, I don't want to know any books about it. I don't want to watch any videos about it. I just want to be taught how to meditate, and then I'm going to follow your direction, and I'm just going to meditate. I don't want language for what I'm supposed to be experiencing. I don't want a reference point. I don't want fucking anything. I don't want language for what it's going to look like. I want to find my own language, right? And one of the coolest thing that's happened is I've started to read these books. And I'm like, holy shit, that's what's been happening. Holy shit, that's what happens in my meditation. Oh, I know what he's talking about. And it's so cool and so encouraging. And it just feels so good. that has started to happen, you know? And it makes me think honestly of the Builder of Thoughts design, one of my first designs, and it's structured around Proverbs 27:19, which is, as water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart of a man. So like if you gaze over a puddle, right? If you lean over a puddle, you can't not see your reflection. This is universal law, right? You can't not see your reflection. This is just the fucking way it is. In every painting since the dawn of man, if the artist is painting a landscape and there's mountains and there's a body of water in front of that, what's always reflected in the body of water? The mountains, the landscape that's in the backdrop of it. Fucking Bob Ross, every happy mistake he made, it was reflected in the fucking in the lake. You know what I mean? So like if this is there since the beginning, what that scripture is saying is like my life is a reflection of what's going on inside of me. So I guess if there's joy and peace and love and freedom and happiness within me, then you know your life is going to look joyful, happy, peaceful, etc. Now, if there's wars raging on inside of me, I'm not going to experience joy in my life. If there's wars raging on inside of me, you're going to see collision, confusion, chaos, and just dissension among the ranks. It can't be any other fucking way. It just ain't going to happen. So like the spiritual paradox of it all is like, if you want to change the image in the puddle, you don't reach down and put your hand in the puddle and move the fucking water around. You look like an idiot. You change the man who's looking at the puddle. You change the woman who's gazing into the puddle. And then the reflection may stand to change. So it's like, fuck, because this whole opera of life gets really real. And we're like, oh my God, look at all the other actors and the props and then the scene and then this guy and this girl. Like, I got to do. And we get all fucking wrapped up in it. And we're like, I got to get involved with this play, this opera, and go fucking handle shit, move shit around. And God or Spirit's like, no, that ain't how it works. Like, you got to go back to yourself, focus on your performance, how you show up for the opera, study your lines, etc. And then the play may go off well. And you know, my ego don't want to hear that shit, you know. But I guess when you start to practice it, you know, you experience some benefit. Like if there was no benefit to this shit, you know, nobody would still be doing it. Nobody would be trying to live this way. You know, if there was no benefit or gold there, it wouldn't resurrect motherfuckers like me and take me from waking up in the gutters to being okay. It just wouldn't happen. You know, and there's no explanation for it. I guess you just kind of get presented with a new way of life, this new set of information or knowledge, and you say, hey, what if I started to live this way? And you go, well, the way I've been living kind of fucking blows, so let me give this a shot. I give it a shot. I'm like, oh, this is kind of tight. I actually like what I'm receiving here. Like maybe I should keep going. And then rinse and repeat. So that whole reflection thing, like, really always just puts it back on you. So, like, in essence, what I'm saying, when I was like, you ever just wonder, like, how you got here? So, like, how I got here is a reflection of what's going on inside of me. And I didn't will this into my life. You know, it just kind of fucking happened. The whole FTG thing happened because it was a thought that wouldn't leave me. So I just followed it. Right? And we just constantly, now we're here. So we just keep following. There's nothing to fucking figure out. There's only more to let go of. In my eyes, there's nothing to figure out. There's only more to let go of. You know, and one of the things I'm most grateful for is self-confidence. And it's not like, you know, oh, I'm fucking confident or this and that. The confidence and security comes from being okay. And when you were never okay in your life and you wake up and you're just fucking okay, a brand new type of peace is born, and you can start looking the world in the eyes, and it gives you a ton of confidence because it's almost like the world or life's been waiting for you to be able to look at it like that with like a strong gaze. So this type of confidence rises up, or at least it did for me, and you start to walk it out, right? Like, so for instance, like people may say to you in your life, they may, let's say people are always trying to like tell you, oh, you're such a good guy, like you're so good with people, you should do this, or you're such a good artist, or man, like you're very good with words, and like every time you talk, people listen, and then our response, oh, no, thank you, or you're such a good looking girl, then we're like, oh, no, thank you, and we kind of like shun it off, right? Because the self-esteem is in the shitter. And that's what I was doing my whole life. My whole fucking life, I had people trying to speak love and encouragement into me, and I just couldn't accept it. So what happened was this started to come up in my life again, all the good stuff. And, people would say things like, man, when you speak, you're able to reach every person in the room. You have a way of relating powerful things in simple forms. Your passion is communicated to every person in the room. You have a purpose here in this path of life, all these things. And I had this moment years ago where I was like, I'm either going to be scared and uncomfortable and start saying yes to this shit, or continue to say no and experience the self-esteem that I've always had. And so all of a sudden, you just start saying yes to that shit. So when people were like, your passion is overwhelming and you have the power to reach everyone in the room, I said, thank you, you're right. When you're gonna, you should be this, or you're gonna speak to a lot of people, and I would say, you're right, I am that. And so you just start like shouldering all this stuff. People would say the most beautiful things to me, and I would go, you're right, I am that. Like, in my mind, I wouldn't just say that to them, but I started to accept that shit radically. And it gave me a whole new type of confidence, because it was almost like God is begging us to step in and accept our talents. There's no use shying away from it and playing small and trying to, avoid the world. And like, I think that's a Marianne Williamson quote. She says there's nothing godly or spiritual in playing small and being falsely humble. Like, we should be vibrant, we should be confident and express ourselves in a dynamic way, just as a child does. A child doesn't apologize for how strong and confident they're moving through the world. They just are existing. So the thing is, when you start accepting that shit and saying, I am that, then they'll start talking shit on you and being like, oh, this fucking asshole, this and that. At least that's what I got, right? Because I was like, all right, fuck it. Like, I'm going to wear this. Let's go. And then people will talk. And you know what? It's like ducks quack and people talk. Let them fucking talk. Quack, quack. You know what I mean? That's just part of the deal. And I always used to think, like, when people said, oh, haters, this and that. And I would always think, like, how egocentric of you to think that people care that much to be hating on you. That was my always thought around the haters thing. So come to find out, though, when you do start living and accepting your truth and not apologizing for it, people be fucking hating, man. People hate. Like, imagine taking the time to leave a hateful comment. Imagine taking the time to troll some type of social media or talk some shit on whatever when you're just living out your truth. Like, that shit blows my mind that people do that. That they literally are if you're doing that to me, I literally you're handing me your power and I don't even know your fucking name. That's a fucking trip to me. That is a trip to me, man. And like, I don't want to fucking live that way. I don't want to live that way. But the whole point is like, you know what? Let the world feel the full weight of who you are and let them fucking deal with it. Let them feel the full weight of who you are and let them fucking deal with it. Now, that doesn't mean you get to go out and like be an asshole and step on toes, but it damn sure does mean you don't have to apologize for being you. Like, I also hold to the belief that you can be spiritual and be like, yo, take that negative shit out of here. Or fuck off. Like, I don't want that shit in my life. Take that shit out of here, man. Get that shit away from me. I think you have every right to do that. I mean, obviously not say it in like a fucking asshole type of way, but like sometimes people, they don't get the hint type thing, and you have to be like very direct. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about right now, man. So yeah, when you, in my eyes, like that's stepping into your greatness. Like you're going to fucking have to accept the narration of your life. Meaning, if somebody's always giving you a compliment around something, or you're a good artist, or you have like an eclectic taste and you're just able to like put things in perspective, or you're one of the friends that brings 20 other different friends together and you're a leader in the group, or you're very gregarious, or you're positive, and whatever it is, you better get busy starting to accept that fucking talent and that gift. Because if it's been coming to you for that long, then life is begging you to accept that, put it on, and rock the fuck out. And it's almost like if I don't, I'm kind of like spitting in the face of life, you know? At least in my eyes, that's what I did for a long time. And man, it just feels good to start to say yes to what people are saying your gifts are. Say yes, and then when you say yes and step into them, well, it's still scary. It's absolutely so scary, but the thing is, like, you're saying yes to God, so like you're going to be carried through that shit. In my eyes, you're always going to be carried through when you say yes to something that is great, you know? And I think for you to become great, you have to turn yourself over to greatness, you know? And the greatness may be just a quality that you know is yours, and you just haven't been willing to accept it fully. So yeah, I don't know. That was a big turning point in my life. I've also been taking a shit ton of ice baths lately. Totally stepped on the whole fucking, bandwagon and like this new fad and fucking, yeah, it's 30 degrees, discomfort, fucking sit there, no inflammation, facing your mind, challenging your fucking, yeah, dude, motivation. Like, how do we play motivational fucking music over somebody sitting in a tub? You know what I mean? It's kind of like a mind fuck if you think about it. I'm fucking sitting here and it's cold. Cue motivation music. And we eat that shit up, man. We eat that shit up. So anyways, I started doing this one at the gym, and I didn't think I was going to be able to handle it. I did not think I was going to be able to handle it. I started it like 2 months ago, and it's like I've gotten it down to like 40 degrees, which I know ain't like stupid cold, but that's about like as cold as we can get it in the gym with like the ice and whatever, the amount of ice like we have out of the ice machine. So anyways, it's like once I experienced the benefit of sitting in there for 5 minutes, and I was like, oh my God, my body feels so much better. And you get like the anxiety, just any type of anxiety, you get like it goes away. You got like an endorphin release, and you just really like, it really changes the rest of my night. So every time I've showed up, and now when I finish my workout, I'm hot, like I just want to like get in there. But right before I do, every time, no matter how hyped I am, I sit there and dance on the side of the tub, and I'm like, fuck this, this is so stupid, But I started to like, and maybe this is too deep, but this is just how I work, and I really don't give a fuck. I started to make it like a spiritual thing, because my whole thing is, my whole life, it's like whenever it gets too hard, I just bow out. Whenever it gets too uncomfortable, deuces, I'm out of here. So it's like being able to sit there knowing this is going to hurt for 5 minutes and then it's going to be over, and being willing, when every molecule in my body's like, don't get in this fucking tub, but just getting in it and breathing through it neck deep, like it's really started to help me. It's really started to help me a lot, to be quite honest. So I look forward to it. But never is there a time thus far over the past month or two where I'm like, no hesitation type thing. Now I see motherfuckers that got ice tubs outside that they got to break the frozen layer off of it because they're in New York or whatever, and that's got to be 30 degrees, man. I hear 30 degrees is unbearable. So, your boy is just fucking dipping his toes in. So whatever, we're getting there. Yeah, man. So anyways, that's it for this week. Remember, February 10th, Friday night, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Everyone's going to be out there, Delray Art District and Pineapple Grove. We're going to have some fun. Come out and support, chop it up. There's going to be good food, good people, good community. That's all you need. Check out YouTube, From the Grave Podcast. Hit that subscribe button. On TikTok, From the Grave Podcast, Instagram, From the Grave Podcast. If you like what you hear, take a screenshot, share it on the story, man. Tag it. Would appreciate your support. And be well. Thank you guys for listening. Peace.